How we doing? We're waiting for music to kick on here any second, and we'll be jamming. Brandon, how's everything going for you, buddy?
It's been pretty good so far. It's definitely a lot to take in, but it's been really good. It was hard at first, but it's definitely gotten better.
Get your rhythm going a little bit.
Yeah, making calls at first was definitely very stressful, but just with practice and going over scripts a ton, it's definitely helped.
Yeah. Well, it's, as we get ready to launch into meeting here. Hey, Bud Doyle, how are you? So as it becomes more routine, as if you internalize it and it becomes more natural, it becomes easier, right? Like, but we're talking about scripts. And the key around it is going in with the right intentions, right? So going in with care calls and those pieces, and checking on your people. From there, we'll up to different scripts and dialogues, and the business shows up. So we will get started here in just a moment. And let's see, we should have music coming on here in a second. Cool. Perfect. Shannon, how are you doing? Bud, how are you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
I'm doing good.
Fantastic.
Doing good. Thanks, Patrick.
All right, we'll see when this song comes out. This one, once this does, this one's for you, Shannon. Okay. And let's see. There's Jenny just jumped online. Fantastic. All right. And let's get this going. All right. Well, what we're going to do is, while we're waiting for the music to kick on here, which should come on at any moment, how's everyone doing? I know inventory is pretty low right now, right? We're going to spend some time talking about that. We're also going to spend some time talking about family reunion coming up next week and why it's important. And we'll dive into that piece too. And what we're doing as a market center to really make it an experience for you. So I will give it just another moment here with music, and then we're just going to go ahead and get started. Jamie Goldman, how are you doing? I see Jamie on there. Scott, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Starting to see everyone's jump online. Fantastic. Jamie, is today the day?
And the Bolt 100, you mean?
I didn't want to say it out loud, so I just, I wanted to throw it out there.
It's okay. No, today is the planning day. Scott and I were talking about it earlier. Today's the planning day. Tomorrow's the actual day.
Oh, this is going to be fun. All right. I am extremely excited about this one. So, well, cool. Let's go ahead and get started. And we're just going to kind of dive right in. Part of what, and one, I appreciate everyone's patience and seeing me kind of running around with on fumes a little bit here. And it's good to see everyone and just really get the ball rolling here. I know we're in the month of February already. We got a big event coming up here next week. And in fact, it's the largest industry event of the year. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what's some attitude for gratitude that we can get started on? Attitude for gratitude. Who wants to go first? Everyone's jumping. My phone's blowing up saying, I want to be the first one. So here's your opportunity. Attitude for gratitude. Where are you getting some gratitude going on? Is it another agent? Is it a class that you're in right now? Is it the fact that It's not snowing. What was some attitude for gratitude that you have?
Hey, Patrick, I'll jump in and just say I'm here in the training center and I love talking to Mary and Carol, and they've been giving me some great advice, sage advice. And Bud Doyle's been checking in with me weekly, so I'm grateful for that. And yesterday, William taught our Ignite class when Debbie was out, and he gave us some great tips too. It was a really valuable class. So just all that. I'm grateful for all that.
Fantastic. Well, I love all of that. Thank you, Marianne. And it's that's one of the coolest things is that, we're all individual contractors, right? So technically we're all in competition, yet within Keller Williams, within our walls, we see that everyone will group up and really help each other out. So Marianne, I think that's fantastic. It's a great testimonial. What's another one? That was awesome. Attitude for gratitude.
Hey, Patrick, I'll go next. So I think, I've been here since August, and, when I first started here, we obviously had the COVID pandemic and all the fun stuff going on. And, there was no one in the office, and I'm an office guy. So I come in like every day. I'm here usually 3 to 4 times a week, usually 4 times a week. And I can say that over the last 3 weeks, the energy, the vibe has completely changed. I see Marianne here all the time. I see Jamie. I see Andrea. I see William. I see Brooksy. Like, everyone's in the office. I really feel like everyone is kind of working off of each other's vibe, and it's just nice to have. I actually come to this office more than my other office just because there's more people here now. And so my gratitude is just having the ability to work off of everyone else's energy, and hopefully I give off good energy for you guys. But it's been awesome just being here in the office. So I would say for me right now, with all the things that we've gone through with COVID, and now really kind of see like we're turning the corner for having more people in the office and the vibe and all that good stuff, it's been awesome. So I say that I am that's my gratitude, I guess, for today.
That's fantastic.
Thank
you, Henry. Thank you, Henry. I greatly appreciate that. What's another one? Let's do 2 more. It's kind of fun. Here we go.
Hey, Patrick, I have one, but I was going to do this before Henry spoke. So I just want to say how grateful I am for Henry. I have sent him several clients, and he is always available and ready to answer their questions or my questions. And even when I came in on Saturday to write an offer, he was here in the office and was able to get me a pre-approval. Obviously they were already pre-approved, but he did get me a more appropriate pre-approval right there on the spot. And it's just really great having him here and available for anything that we need. And he works so much. So I'm really grateful to Henry.
It's fantastic. Thank you, Andrea. That's great. All right,
checks in the mail, Andrea. Checks in the mail.
Attitude for gratitude. One more. I know Mark Mays is dying to say something, Mark.
Okay, so I'll give you one. It's always off the cuff, Patrick. You know that. I'm actually, I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm actually grateful for Bold, because it's Bold I hate to say this because I'm so out of kilter with Keller sometimes, but it forces you to do your job every day. Make your calls, put your stuff in the database, find some new clients. I mean, sales manager 101, 40 years ago when I started selling stuff. I'm grateful for Bold. How's that?
That's fantastic. And I got that recorded, Mark Mays.
Nice.
Excellent. All right.
Nice.
Well, let's dive in and have some fun. So I got Henry. Tell us what's going on out there. I know it's a wild and wacky world, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. It is a wild and wacky world. Obviously, all of you that I talk with on a daily basis know that we are really up against a lot out there in the market on the purchase side. Obviously, there's been some tips and tricks that some of you are utilizing, and I know that in your different transactions out there, you're seeing some things work and some things not work. So today I kind of wanted to talk to everyone about some of the things that, you know, I'm lucky enough to be in a great spot in Keller Williams where everybody walks by. So a lot of people just kind of pop in and ask questions and things of that nature. And I kind of wanted to disperse to you all or disseminate to you all information that I'm giving to other agents individually that as a group you guys may not know. So I felt like I'm going to do that every week. Is any questions that I answer throughout the week for individual agents, I'd like to be able to bring that to you on a weekly basis so that you all garner that knowledge that that one agent got. Hopefully I can get this out to all of you. So a couple little things that I think are important that you guys all know. So when we do a loan for someone and we're doing a purchase and they're looking to get a pre-approval letter, one of the things that I want you guys to all know is that I can do a pre-approval letter for any of your clients that we have already pre-approved in under 30 seconds. And I can do it from my phone. So it does not matter if I'm in the office or I'm in front of my laptop or I am sitting at my desk. I literally push out pre-approvals from my phone sitting at a stoplight. And that is no joke. I do it all the time. So I do want you to know that if you ever need a pre-approval from me from one of your clients, please never hesitate to text me, email me, call me. I can always get that to you in like 2 seconds. Okay. The other thing is that on your pre-approvals, whenever you guys have someone that you're submitting a loan for, I always call the listing agent. You don't have to ask me to call the listing agent. All I request is that you send me the listing agent's name and number and the address of the property, and I will call them and I will talk with them. And just so you know, I always ask them, where are we at? How close are we to being at the top? What do we have to do to get this deal? So I will be your advocate. I am your partner in crime here. I'm your lawyer. You can tell me everything. All right. You can tell me where all the dead bodies are. I'm going to cover those dead bodies up, and I'm going to make your loan look so good that there's going to be no reason that they can't accept it. Okay. So we just had one accepted here this last weekend, and I basically found out that they were going to accept it when I talked to the listing agent, and I called my realtor partner back and said, hey, they're going to accept it. We're the best one. So I want you to know that I am your advocate, that I am here to push your agenda, right? Because if you get the loan, I get the loan, right? So it's kind of a win-win for both of us. So that was something that I kind of wanted to go over because I have a lot of agents ask me if I'll call or if they can get another pre-approval letter. The other thing that I want to let you guys know, and Andrea kind of talked about this a little bit, if you utilize the cash team, I want you guys to know that it's never an issue for you to contact me on the weekend. I work every weekend. I work every Saturday, every Sunday. I am thinking about taking Mondays off though, just so you know. But never feel like you're bothering me or that it's an issue or anything like that. You can always contact me on the weekend. I will always either answer your text message, call you back, and let you know what's going on. The last thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about is assets for your clients. This doesn't have anything to do with the clients that I have, but any of your clients. It would be a good tip for you guys to make sure that whoever your client is pre-approved through, that you know what kind of assets they have to go on top of whatever you're offering, right? Because you can't write a good offer if you don't know what they have to put on top. And as you all know, we're all seeing people offering 20, 30, 40. I saw one today. The person was beat out because the person offered $150K over asking. 150. Yeah, that's
Whoa.
huge. So it's important that you guys know that. If they don't know what they have to offer, remember 401ks can be pulled from for housing needs. So a lot of people don't think about their 401k when they're thinking about money that they can pull, but most 401ks you can borrow from and you can have that money in your account within 7 business days. So if you have clients and they think they don't have any other money, ask them the question, do you have a 401k? Just about everybody has a 401k. They can garner money from that 401k to utilize as that over listing for that property. That could be the difference between you winning the deal and losing the deal, is that 401k money. That's all I have for you. Thanks so much for listening.
Wow, that's some great stuff. All right, thank you, Henry.
I got a question for Henry.
Mm-hmm.
when is the best time for that client to pull out of their 401k?
Immediately. I would say the moment that they do their pre-approval, they should pull out the money, because we have to source it. We have to show it coming from their 401 account, going into their bank account, so we have to show that trail of documentation. So the sooner they can do that, the better. But we're never going to not close a deal based on a 401k loan. If we don't have all the documentation at the very end, as long as we can see that in their 401k they have the ability to perform that task, we can close it.
Love that. I think it's really important, right? And just to stop on that for a second, because how many of us are either listing and receiving offers or submitting offers? And, this has been a big conversation, hasn't it? I mean, I know even in recent coaching conversation, it's been a huge deal. And we are going to dive into this and talk a little bit later around some masterminding around picking up the business and listings and different ideas. Yet it's so critical that you have a partner who is like Henry, who's a fantastic lender. I mean, gosh, Henry, that even just saying lender isn't even the right word here, right? Like, I mean, having a true partnership where he's going to call the listing agent, he's going to do these other pieces that is above and beyond what you typically see. Where it's not just here's your pre-approval letter.
It's numbers, yeah. The professional login is numbers.
So that would be a key piece on submitting these offers. All right, well, let's do this. As we keep going forward here, we're going to dive into family reunion, and we're going to talk about family reunion around why is it important? What is a big deal about it? I know we've talked about it in the past. We've shown videos in the past. What we're seeing right now is we are seeing low inventory that's happening across the board, right? Now, it's typical for this time of year, but what's interesting is we're seeing last year carry over into 2021. And so part of the focus around family reunion and the breakouts and creating leverage pieces is going to be around how do you build a listing inventory? How do you engineer your 2021? Because we're seeing it out there, right? And unless I'm the only one, I think we're seeing it out there. So let's start this off with the video, and then we're going to open it up. We're going to talk about what our plan is as an office. We're also going to talk about some of the critical pieces to family reunion and experiences around why is this important, whether you're brand new or you're seasoned with 25 years and you're a top producer, why? So let's kick it off.
Not Victoria's fault, Patrick.
Well, we're doing great at reading lips here. So, let's see, Victoria, we're not having any sound.
I think only presenters can get your audio to work.
Got it. Okay. Well,
So if you think you can make her a presenter, and that'll work.
She should be there. Okay. All right. Technical opportunity here. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get that piece rolling here in just a moment. But in the meantime, we're going to pivot and we're going to keep going. So great video, and we'll get that guy out. So let's put the video in the chat, and then also let's replay it a little bit later. Let's talk about why family reunion, and let's see, here we go. I see Victoria's popping it back up again. Just a second as this opens up. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if this will play.
Looks like a little bandwidth issues, maybe.
Yeah, it sure seems like that. Okay. So either way, we're going to keep going. So let's go ahead. Victoria, put that on pause so we can get everybody back a little bit here. We will shoot that out so everyone has a chance to see it. It is a fantastic video. It's amazing even with sound. And so let's talk about family reunion a little bit. So family reunion is the largest, there we go. Family reunion is the largest event that Keller Williams has on an annual basis. Typically with family reunion, you see an in-person event that happens in different locations across the country. You have folks coming from all over, creating incredible referral relationships. I know I got Cindy on here. Cindy, you specialize in this one. So would you mind telling us just a little bit about why you think it's important and why do you year after year go to family reunion?
So yeah, I actually did post a video earlier in the group, so check it out. You guys, about 50% of my business comes from referrals. I've got 3 listings coming up in the next 60 days that are 100% referrals. Kind of sucks because I go off cap this month, but what can you do? Those are going to be awesome no matter what. And they're listings, so I'm super excited. And even though this is a virtual, and what I said in my video earlier is that we are highly, highly connected as a company, and they're setting it up where you can still engage with people, still meet people. Everybody has little niches that they can tie into for sure. I talk with a lot of my young people about getting into the YPN network with Keller Williams. I know Madison and Brooks, they are super involved with that. So there's a lot of ways for that. But the biggest thing is that this is typically the tickets alone. When I first started, I think the tickets were what, Patrick, $400 to go to family reunion. They've doubled. And a lot of that is because we're so big and we can only accommodate so many people. So it's at the minimum, a $2,000 to $3,000 investment to fly, stay in a hotel, get your registration, meals, all of that. And what are you guys doing? I mean, it's honestly, you guys, and I mean this is with all the respect in the world, you would be ridiculous not to take advantage of the content. People pay hundreds of dollars just to go in to see the big speeches, the vision speech, the state of the company, that kind of thing. And I know William had said something about the technology. And the thing, they do it on purpose every 6 months, guys, because I don't know about you. I mean, I bleed Keller Williams, and yet sometimes we forget who we are as a company on the big level. These events reminds us of what we have as a company And anybody who's been around for a minute, is Gary Keller a prophet or not? I mean,
there's conversation around that, especially with the industry.
Yep. And so just to be there and hear these conversations, if at the very least, it's going to make you look smart with your clients. And when people ask you different questions, when you can talk intelligently from, I truly believe he's a prophet in real estate. What that man said 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago that's coming true is beyond. So I probably took up more time than you wanted, but
No. I think it's great.
I'm passionate about it.
You know, I think as you know, Cindy, you have the pleasure and the blessing of working with a lot of those coming into the industry. And for those who are newer in the industry, why should they go? Is it just a top agent event?
It's every agent event. And that's the thing. Another thing about Keller Williams, that is a beautiful thing. Back when they first came to town, they were kind of, that's where you go to learn about real estate. And then after a year or two, move and go to another company. It's beyond that. It never really was that. And now it no matter what level your business is, you can look at the breakouts. If you want to be better at social media, if you want to be better at your database, if you want to actually look at, maybe I'm ready to start a team, what does that look like? You have access to the people who have been there before you. And our culture is about sharing. And sometimes I forget how we take that for granted, guys, especially if you've only ever known Keller Williams. Those other companies out there, they don't share. When I come across an agent once in a while and they'll be like, well, I don't really want to tell you how I did that, or okay, I'll tell you, but don't tell anybody else. We're the opposite. We're like, here's what we did. So no matter what level you're at, you're going to hear from experts, and you're going to see these people who are the top people, and how real they are and how approachable they are.
I love that. But
Yeah.
Bud, we were, thank you, Cindy. But we were talking earlier, coming from, you know, a top agent perspective, which I think is important to look at as well. You never miss family reunion, and you're going again on a digital experience. Why are you going? I mean, you've been so many times before.
Yeah, you know, it's a good question. I mean, I think it just, every year you kind of learn something new, or you know, you're exposed to somebody maybe who you haven't heard before. And I think I'll echo what Cindy said. You know, regardless of your level of production or so, I still think that there's something for everybody there in terms of what you can learn. And everybody starts somewhere. And all these people that are on the stages or that are being interviewed or so, or that are heading up the breakouts, all started somewhere as well. And a lot of those people are willing to share kind of where they started or how they started or so. And so I think that's, you know, why I keep going. And I just think that it's 3 days out of your schedule. But I think that what you learn, if there's one thing that you could take away or so, that would help you in your business, because there's going to be a lot of stuff thrown out there, and there's a million different ways to grow your business. But I always try to focus on what's the maybe 1 to 3 things that I could actually implement. You know, I know we had Lucas Howard, I think a month ago or so, and I can't believe I actually did this, but I actually got letters out that he kind of talked about, you know, to kind of some farms that I focus on. But that was an idea that I would have never in a million years thought about. But, you know, Lucas does it. Obviously, he's very successful. And so I thought, well, if he can do it, I'll give it a whirl. So I think that's what family reunion is about. It's just finding different ways to kind of, you know, what works for you, and then giving it a whirl in our market and seeing if you might be able to get some traction. So
Love that.
that was a long answer to your question, but that's kind of my thoughts.
I think it's great. Madison, you put a video out a little bit earlier. Can you tell us a little bit about what you got up your sleeve and YPN? And I know there's a lot of excitement going on there.
Yeah. So, like they've all both said, I'm sorry, I'm looking up here because I have it on my monitor. So I'm actually looking at you guys. But family reunion is something that I put on my calendar first thing every year, like family reunion and mega camp. I know y'all have heard me talk about it in the past. It's something that's very, very beneficial to me. one thing specifically for me, and one of the reasons why I joined Keller Williams is because I wanted to have a network of agents all over the country. So if I were to meet somebody, hopefully someday get married, and say I did have to move, and what do you know, I ended up moving to Denver. I still have that network of friends and that network of community of people that follows me wherever I go. And it was a matter of me calling that network and saying, hey, I no longer live in Midland, Texas. I live in Denver now. Send your referrals here to me. And that's been honestly the only business I've had, besides a couple of other deals that I've had since I moved here, was from that sphere of people. So I'm really focusing on my KWYP network in Family Reunion this year. And I invite anyone that is under 40 that has questions about KWYP to reach out to me. I will be putting together my breakout sessions based on, one, if it's KWYP related, or two, if it's led by KWYP people, because I want to continue to grow that network. And I would love for anyone that is in that same boat or doesn't know how to navigate Family Reunion or breakouts to come join me. I'm going to set up in one of the conference rooms, and would love to have anyone that would want to come to the same breakout sessions as me. That way we can mastermind around it after. And hopefully we can all walk away with some really great connections and some really great information and ways of thinking. So.
Love that, Madison. Thank you. Shannon, so this is your first time at family or going to Family Reunion, right? So what are you looking at as expectations going in? And I think it's important to highlight that for a second, because Cindy's gone several times, Bud's gone several times, Madison, it's the first thing you put on your calendar. Shannon, this is your first year. What are you looking for out of it? And I think you're on mute still. There we go.
There he goes. Yeah, really looking forward to really just not connecting with people from the rest of the country, but also mainly the breakout sessions. I think, I really enjoy anything that's kind of like a mastermind type driven type thing. So yeah, just having those discussions and those breakout sessions, I think is what I'm looking forward to the most, for sure.
Love that.
And getting back in the office and kind of being around everybody, and I think the fact that we're this time around, it's not just a full digital experience. It's going to be a little bit of a hybrid as well.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, because it ties into what we're looking at doing. Our goal, your leadership's goal, ALC's goal, is to create an experience around this for you. I mean, a true experience. And so we are looking at putting the vision speech that will be on the big screen. We'll be bringing in, we're going to do a kind of a breakfast in those pieces, kind of bagels, coffee kind of thing, where we can all not just watch it, but talk about it, really dive in. What did we hear, right? Because each one of us are going to take something a little bit different from just the vision speech. And so please keep an eye on your calendar for this one. Vision speech is going to be, I believe this is all Central Time. So it's going to start with Gary Keller talking about an inspirational piece. And one of the things that Gary's done this last year, and they're releasing a new series around it, is Think Like a CEO. And if you haven't heard this, it is absolutely amazing. And when you have a chance to really dive in and see, how does Gary think? How did he become a billionaire? Not millionaire, a billionaire, right? How many of us have the opportunity to engage with someone on that type of a level? And so the vision speech will talk about that, as well as state of the company. What's going on with Keller Williams? What's going on with Command? What are the new things that are coming out that are going to make your business easier? And Shannon, you brought up the breakout sessions, and I pulled it up as we were talking, because there's breakouts. Even on Tuesday, we jump right into breakouts. And on Tuesday, some of the breakout sessions, and these are when you have an individual ticket, which, by the way, it's only $129. And we can work out a way to add that onto your office bill, or however we need to make that easier. Our goal is that you do not miss this. So with the breakout sessions, even just on Tuesday, here's some titles: Burn Bright, Build a Solo Business Built to Last; Build a scalable and sustainable admin-only sales business. Coach and mentor your way to success with large sales teams. Running lean, right? So running lean to succeed with smaller sales teams. What we're doing is we're covering every single aspect. So not just for the solo agent, but also for the small team, for the large team, how to think big, grow responsibly. That's just one of them, right? And then it ties into different events later. We're still going to have some fun, and we're going to be doing, there's a script off that's going to be there. So a big conversation we've had is around scripts. And so if you're looking at how do you have conversations at a very high level with both sellers and with buyers, right? We know right now inventory is low, low, low. And the price for family reunion is going to go up in 2 days if you just saw that on the chat. So for $129, you have an opportunity to jump in these breakout sessions, form incredible relationships like what Madison is talking about and what Cindy has talked about, right? That can continue on because different markets we know impact Denver. So it's not just a Denver conversation. It could be Chicago, it could be Minneapolis, it could be Seattle, LA, San Francisco, New York, Miami. We can keep going. The point of it is, it could even be international, right? We learned that with Lucy Parker a couple weeks ago. The guests that we have brought in to the Market Center and to have as guest speakers, you know, Nikki Klein, Jenny Wallach, Lucy Parker, Lucas Howard. Those Nikki, Jenny, and Lucy are all being interviewed on how they're doing this. How are they succeeding in pulling listing after listing after listing in a low inventory market that's just like the one we have here? Massively powerful. So if you calculate the ROI of $129 versus your average commission check, holy cow, right? There's arguably nothing better in 2021 period end of story that can give you a running start into the market to create your own inventory. Now, so family reunion, to go over the details here of it, it kicks off on Monday. Now the vision speech, all those pieces that start happening is Tuesday morning. So Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, right? And then Thursday morning. And then in those afternoons are going to break apart these sessions, the breakout sessions. And that's where you're going to get both the economic side on what's going on with the industry, kind of like what Cindy talked about there with Gary and Gary Keller and Jay Papazon wrote the MREA. They wrote Shift. They wrote The One Thing, like these best sellers that every single company uses. Here's what's also interesting. It's not just going to be Keller Williams. It's not just going to be the US and Canada. We are expecting 40 to 50,000 attendees, 40 to 50,000 in 39 plus countries in all different companies. To kind of give you an idea, how many of us have heard who Brad Inman is and Inman News? So Inman just had their event, which was their big kickoff event, and they had 18,000. Brad is going to be there too. So my question always becomes, what do the 40,000 know that I don't? And how quickly can I get registered and invite a friend? And I mean within our own Market Center or a guest, right? Like there's a ton of opportunity there. So what we're going to do, our focus and what we're really working on as a leadership team is to create an experience for you, not just for just the big conversations, but the breakouts. And then from there, we can go into implementation, into action, into what are the best scripts that you heard. I appreciate William and Bud putting those listings in. So if you have a listing, put it in the chat. The other piece too is that when we look at, let me pull it up here. When we look at on a coaching corner, you know, one of the successes that I heard from last week was the mastermind that happened. So let's take a moment now. Do we have any other questions about family reunion? First of all, starts next week. It's $129. The link is in the chat. And we'll be reaching out as well and just asking you what we can do to get you started. So while I have you on the call right now, how many of us are registered right now for family reunion before we jump on? All right, fantastic. How many are on the fence? Not sure which way to go. How many are like, absolutely not, sounds crazy, I'm not gonna do it? Andrea. All right, well, Andrea, we'll have to talk after this, but no, I'm just kidding. Here's an opportunity, right? If you really are looking at how to build this out and how to flip over the rock in one of the lowest inventory markets that we've seen in years, and these escalations that we've talked about, how to write an offer that gets accepted, all those pieces, I would suggest learn from the best. And that's the opportunity. So if going into listings, and let's talk about this for a moment, because what are some different things that you're seeing that are succeeding for you to take listings in this market right now? We know buyers are showing up. Nothing wrong with buyers. Okay, perfect. So the Eastern Colorado King, love that. Let's take yourselves off mute and let's talk for a moment. What are some ways that you're pulling listings right now?
So the conversation I'm having with people in general is, instead of saying we need inventory, we need listings, we need people to sell the house, it's flipping the conversation and asking, why aren't you selling? What are your concerns about selling right now? And had a listing appointment a couple of weeks ago. They had no idea that we could do things like up to a 60-day post occupancy, most of the time for free. They had no idea about things like appraisal gaps and how they literally can ask for anything they want in this market. And when they know that they have 30 to 45 days to then find a property and that pressure is off, it really makes a difference. So we have to start asking deeper questions so that we can give the solutions instead of tell. It's been a huge shift for me.
I love that. So you're going question focused, right? Versus just here is everything. That's fantastic, Cindy. Who else is doing that too? Like, let's keep this conversation going. What are some of the other, Bud? I know we talked, on Friday, you had a listing that hit the market, and you have several that you're working on. Where are you seeing your successes come from, and what do those conversations sound like?
Well, and yeah, I think that, I find that the more that they talk in the appointment, the better. I mean, I'm to the point now, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but the first appointment, I go in with a pad of paper and I'm trying to find out, what their need is or what their issue is, or so, as opposed to, I call it kind of show up and throw up with, the listing presentation or so. I want to find out where they're coming from or what their needs are or so, and also find out if I'm the right fit or so. And it's almost a non-traditional way of doing it, but the more they tell me and the more I probe is to, and then also I think sharing success stories as well as to, hey, it might be a different price point, but had a listing where there was 85 showings or so, because it's hard for people to get their arms around how little inventory there is. I mean, you can show graphs and data and all that stuff, but people don't really get it until it becomes their house, or until they're like, are you kidding me? As we're sitting here right now, there's 3 houses for sale and put numbers on it, out of 5,000 in Highlands Ranch that are in the, let's say, 450 to 500 price range or so. Then people can really get their arms around, oh my gosh, you're actually right, there's nothing for sale. So, but yeah, the more I can take notes and I can find out what the real issue is, or find out what their motivation is, probably more than anything, then I can be like, okay, I think that, we can list next week, or maybe we wait till early to mid-March because of what they've told me. as opposed to just, and I used to do this, and well, okay, I've got this presentation I've got to get through, just bear with me. And meanwhile, I don't even know what their motivation is. I don't know what their situation is. I'm just sort of, I call it spilling my candy in the lobby, where I'm giving all this crap that may or may not apply to them. So just, food for thought, but a lot of food references in this little answer, but right before lunch. But I don't know. It's just, I think the more that we can ask and probe without having to show or tell, the better.
Thank you, Bud.
Can I piggyback on that really quick?
Yes, please.
And Bud, you're making me hungry. So, and this is really for the newer agents that maybe haven't even had a listing appointment yet or whatever. And anybody that's been in any kind of teaching relationship with me, you know that it's a consultation, not a presentation. And even more so right now, unless you are dealing at, buying leads and that kind of thing, where you are competing with a lot of people, exactly what Bud said is go in with a notebook, go in with a bunch of questions. I take a CMA, a net sheet, a notebook, and my pricing commission sheet. That's it. That's all I take. And all they want to know is how it's going to work and how much you care. So if some of you are maybe subconsciously even not going after listings because you don't have your listing presentation up and running, screw it, forget it, throw it out the door, go out and talk to people and show them how much you care and what you can do for them.
Love that. Love that. So, question, and I see Marsha's on here, which I absolutely loved having you on here, Marsha. If you're able to take yourself off mute, please. And you have some great experience around listings and in different markets. And I just wanted to ask you, where are you seeing the business? How are you having these conversations?
Yeah, I'm doing exactly the same thing as Bud and Cindy. I've never had a listing presentation, and I've been doing this 20 years. And when I first started, I tried to have a listing presentation, and my mentor said, just show up and be yourself, have a notepad and get them talking, and find out, where the pain is, what problems they're trying to solve. And so no, that is fantastic advice from both Bud and Cindy. And what was your real question? Sorry.
No, I think that was fantastic because we didn't plan any of this, right? So I'm like,
no.
The other piece is, how are you approaching the market of today versus the market of last year? Or, you've seen different market shifts and changes. Yeah. What's different now?
Yeah, it's different now, faux show. But what I had a listing in Highlands Ranch that was crazy. We had 25 offers. And so I've been calling my Highlands Ranch people and just telling the story and saying, we had 60 showings scheduled in a morning, for 2 days worth of showings scheduled in a morning. And we had to stop showings. And first day we ended up with 9 offers. The next day we had 25 total. And, the sellers had all the opportunity to get whatever they wanted. So I've been just telling that story. And I'm pricing a house now, during the meeting, but, and it's a past client who's had an investment property who's moved out of state. They've decided to sell. Let me think, I have another listing coming up, and that's some people who are getting ready to retire. So I think it's just staying in touch with my people and trying to be ready when they're ready.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Let's open this up to some different questions. What questions do you have? What's interesting about this, I find, and here's what's wild. There's not this special script everyone's using, right? Have you kind of caught on to that a little bit? It's having real conversations and asking really good questions. So what questions do you have? This is a great opportunity for us to mastermind around listings because of the fact that the inventory is this low. And there's nuggets that are being dropped. Marsha just talked about it. How many offers came in? Bud has talked about it. How many offers has came in, right? So what questions do you have around listings or an action plan around that? And take yourself off mute and jump on in. So we don't
Hey,
have any
Patrick?
questions. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Bud.
Hey, I was just going to go back to one more thing, make sure I'm off mute. I used to be terrified that if I broke it up into 2 appointments, that I would never get invited back, like for the second appointment. You know what I mean? But what I'm finding is now, by sort of listening and finding out, it's almost like you sort of earn the right to be called. Like this is sort of a 2-part process. And here's the deal: if they're not going to invite, if they're not going to agree to like me to come back with all my comps or all the data or so, which a lot of times I do have it, but I don't present it, they're probably not going to choose me or so. And so it's almost like I'm interviewing them kind of as much as they're interviewing me during that first, and I try to keep it to about 45 minutes so I don't drive them crazy and overstay my welcome. So just a thought that the people that really are going to choose you are open to a second meeting where you can go more into detail about specifics, but it's hard to give a price on a house when you haven't seen it yet. So it's kind of a 2-part process now.
That's great. So we went two-part process there. What else, or what, Shannon, you've been in the business here for a little bit. Like, what are you seeing out there?
Well, I can say Bud and I almost do everything exactly the same. Because I do the same thing. I kind of got burnt on that a few years ago of trying to show up and give a presentation and pricing a house without seeing it. And, I mean, obviously you do your research before you show up and you have that information ready in your head. But normally in the first meeting, I do the same thing. I go in with, pad and paper, and let's just talk about this. And then it's a little bit more of a presentation the second time around when I come back, and I know I'm much more comfortable giving them that number after I've seen the house.
Perfect. So, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Shannon. So Mark, I'm going to switch it over to you, my friend, because you have a very analytical mind on how, and Shannon, so do you, on how you look at this and how you look at the market. Where are you seeing successes going on right now, and what do those conversations look like?
As far as listings?
Mm-hmm. As far as listings.
Yeah, I think that the business reality, and this is, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I almost feel like a lot of times when you don't have a buy on the other side, it's easier to grab it because there's no risk at all. So we've found that sometimes when it's maybe an SRES customer, when they're selling mom and dad's house, to sell it off, or maybe it's not their primary residence, so they're not having to buy a house on the back end of it, that those are a little easier targets than some, and maybe a little bit less competitive. And Jamie and I were talking this morning about the fact that, when it's competitive, you got to be good. You got to have your ducks in a row, your presentation together. But I think Bud's and Shannon's feedback around a pen and a piece of paper, and maybe you have a general idea of the comps in the area so that you can at least talk to it, I think is the right way to go. And then you hit that second appointment with a more formal presentation. But I even think at that point, it's not that formal. It's hopefully you've developed a good enough relationship that they're going to use you. So I try to use that relationship a lot. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. William, I saw you take yourself off mute, my friend. So jump on in.
Yeah, my wheels are turning here on this one. We're talking about not being afraid to do a two show up kind of listing appointment, and you can use the tools in your hand to make it easier. We use a Zoom, do a 30-minute get to know you over Zoom first, and then go see them in person. You know what I mean? Or have that connection that way as well is a good way to do it. But then and for the new agents, I don't want them to miss here either. It's always good to have your listing presentation and know it from cover to cover. But like Bud said, don't make it your focus. Make them your focus. And I've won listing appointments where I've had that presentation and I've never opened it. And I've had appointments where I've opened it, but I haven't done it in order. So it's all about that conversation and the questions you're asking them. And don't be afraid to do a Zoom meeting first. Get to know them first, and then end it with, hey, I think our next step is meeting. So what works better for you?
Love that. So while we wrap up here, we have a few minutes left. What are you hearing? What are you hearing? Take yourself off mute, please, and share. And put it in the chat. If you're not able to, then please put it in the chat. What are you hearing? What are your action steps now? Because part of this is great to have a mastermind, yet without action behind it, what are we doing with the information?
So just real quick, Bud and Shannon both mentioned not bringing a listing presentation. And I think one of the things that William's talking about is that they've done it so often and they've practiced it, that presentation is really internalized. So that when they get those objections, they already know what they're going to say, or they already know what the questions are going to be. So I commend them, and I hope to get to that point, because I don't like walking in with a piece of paper and a folder and feeling all formal. But I am not yet skilled or practiced enough to be able to do that myself, I feel like.
Perfect. So what one of the things I just heard, Andrea, was skill and practice, right? And so the importance of doing scripting, the importance of collaborating together around what this can look like, common objections, pieces like that. And I agree. There's a skill level there, yet it all starts with a conversation. No matter what, it starts with a conversation. Working with a buyer, it's a conversation. So are we willing to step through the doorway to have a conversation? Take all other things out of the way, or to do it on a Zoom. William, that was fantastic. That's a great, great piece of advice. So what else are you hearing? Andrea, thank you for sharing. What else are you hearing? We got a couple more minutes. Jump on in.
I'll even say, just kind of going off of that with the scripting and bringing a presentation or not, like we just talked about at the beginning, like everything just becomes more natural the more practice that you have and the more that you go over everything, because then it really does become more internalized and more personal for you and your personality and the style that you kind of go about your presentation, the way that you ask questions and the way that you talk to somebody about either a listing or getting a buyer. So I think it's just all about practice and preparation, and whether you really need that presentation there or not is just based off of how much you really practice and internalize that thing that you're using.
That's awesome, Brandon. Thank you. And how long have you had your license, Brandon?
I just got it in October.
Boom. That's what I'm talking about. Fantastic. Great job. Great job. All right. What's one more? One more. Who's willing to wrap it up for us? One more aha.
I'll jump in. Hi. I was just going to say, just kind of reiterate what we've heard throughout here. Somebody mentioned that it's much easier when they don't have to buy, they don't have to jump in. But I think those are few and far between. So if we know, like I think it was Cindy was saying earlier, before, not everybody knows you can do a post-occupancy agreement, and all those objections of those people that are not ready to sell until they know where they're going. So again, just having those in the back pocket where you can come in as a, the cash buy or those post-occupancy agreements, and some of those tips and tricks that not everybody knows. So it's more education. And again, similar to what Bud was saying, it's do a lot more listening than talking, figure out where they're coming from. And because once you're droning on about whatever you want to say, they've tuned out. they're thinking about something else. So just to be sure and re-engage with them and make sure you know what they're wanting to hear or what they're interested in hearing. So that, and also I wanted to throw out, I don't know if anybody is interested in Clubhouse, if you're an iPhone user, I have an extra invite. So if somebody wants to message me on here or in the Facebook group, I will definitely send you an invite if you contact me. Lots of great information, through KW we get, but also Clubhouse has been kind of cool and fun and interesting another place to learn about real estate. So that's
Perfect.
what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Lisa. That's fantastic. So being that there's opportunity, and there's opportunity to keep learning from the best and understand, internalize those scripts, know how to have the conversation, know how to walk in the door, and then know how to convert. Is it worth, and I'm just going to say it, is it worth a $129 ticket to find out? Because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about next week, except now your audience is going to be 40,000 and markets all across the world. That's the power of what Family Reunion is all about. And this Friday, we do not have Jake's Take. So in lieu of Jake's Take, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that block of time and we're going to answer questions. We're going to come up with a plan. We're going to go over Family Reunion, know before you go. And I would love to see everyone on that. And for those who aren't here today, I would love for you to invite them. If you have a friend who couldn't make it to the team meeting today, within our office walls or outside of it, invite them to Friday, 2 to 3 o'clock this week. There's going to be a Zoom, and we'll also have the opportunity to do some live as well. And we're going to go over the breakout sessions. We're going to go over what the intentionality behind this is, so that you don't just go into an event blind or go into an event without direction. If you have one thing that you could pull out of the event next week, what would that be? If it's to get 5 listings, let's talk about that. Because the conversation that we've had today has been around having conversation, asking questions, where to find the business, what's working, what's not working. All of that is what we're going to discuss. And then how do you gain more time back so you're not just burning the candle at both ends all the time, right? It's a quality of life conversation as well. So don't miss it this Friday. Know before you go. We'll have a Zoom link that will go out. Jump on there. I would love to see you on there. And we'll have this type of a conversation with direction. So with that, it is 12 o'clock. Please keep an eye out on the end of the week email that we'll be pumping out. And then for those who are ready to get registered before the price goes up on Family Reunion, which is it's Friday. So for those who have additional questions, please contact me directly. You can use my email, call me on my cell phone, 907-242-SOLD, 7653. You may have done that on purpose. And reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer questions for you. Know that we are in this together. And I'm extremely proud of each of you. So with that, have an incredible week, end of week, and weekend. We will see you next week. Take care, gang.